Welcome to Friday Friends, RI Elder Info's weekly look at the organizations and individuals providing resources for Rhode Island seniors, caregivers, and professionals.
Good morning, everybody. You caught me dancing again on this fine first Friday of summer. As you know, it's 9 o'clock. I am Deb Burton, Executive Director of RI Elder Info, and you are watching this show or listening to this show on Friday. So that makes this Friday Friends. I'm really excited about the guests that we're talking to today because they really do offer some concrete help for caregivers. So really glad that you have joined us here today. Hit the like button and the share button and all those little social media things to let people know, hey, this is a really cool video that you got to check out, because the information that we're talking about today is something that you or someone you know really will need. So please help us get the word out. As you know, the entire month of June, we have dedicated our episodes of Friday Friends to raising awareness of elder abuse and resources to help people who may have been at risk for elder abuse. So today's resources are really helpful for those caregivers today, so that when they get that frustration, that there's help available. So really important, you hit the like and the share button. Now, as you all know, we are a nonprofit 501c3, and we could not do what we do without the support of our sponsors. So a huge thank you to Point 32 Health Foundation and to Aetna, to United Healthcare, Oak Street Health, JD Solutions, Neighborhood Health, 321 Media, who is the magic behind this video, England Studios, and all of the individual donors who have hit the donate button on our website to help support our work and getting information out to people. Huge thank you. It's because of you that we're able to help other folks. So again, make sure you hit the like button and the share button, because today's conversation is super important. I would like to welcome my guest, Kelley Hurley from CareLink.
Hi, Deb. How are you?
Good. How are you, Kelly?
Great. Thanks for having me. I'm excited to be here.
Yeah. So one of the leading risk factors for an individual to experience elder abuse is having dementia or a cognitive impairment. And I understand that you have a program that can help folks who have cognitive impairments. Can you share with folks what that is?
Yeah. So CareLink was really fortunate enough to receive a very generous grant from the Administration for Community Living, where we are providing some evidence-based programs in the home for people living with dementia and their caregivers. And one of those interventions is called Skills to Care. And this is a really special program because it works directly with the caregiver of someone living with dementia, and really works to support them through the caregiving process. We know that more than 70% of people living with Alzheimer's are living at home, and 75% of the care that is provided to them is provided by a family member or a caregiver, an unpaid caregiver. So the stress that goes with being a caregiver for somebody for 24 hours a day is just, it's overwhelming. And it can lead to a lot of complications for the caregiver, chronic stress, depression, anxiety, and all of those really can change the way that the caregiver is able to provide the care. And so what's Skills to Care. I'm saying care a lot today. So what Skills to Care does is it's a program that goes in and sits down with the caregiver and honestly holds their hand and talks to them about the process. How can we support you? How can we problem solve this? How can we make sure that you have some time for yourself so that you can avoid this burnout and so that you can avoid those changes that occur when you're so stressed out that you can't even think straight. And how can you continue to provide the best care for your loved one and keep them safe at home?
When you say evidence-based care, sometimes people aren't really sure what does that mean. What is evidence-based programming?
That's a good question. So evidence-based program is something that has been studied and proven to work, essentially. So there are multiple studies out there about skills to care, and the fact that it's clinically shown to reduce caregiver stress and burden through the process of caregiving for someone with Alzheimer's or dementia. And so the skills to care training is specialized for occupational therapists, and it's a really intensive training with a 6-month supervisory period.
Wow.
There's a lot of extra studying and casework, and because of all that extra work and because of the really specialized training, we can have so much confidence in these clinicians that are entering the home that they know what they're doing and that they're going to really be able to help support you in this difficult process.
So if I'm hearing correctly, skills to care, the actual team members that are coming out to meet with the family, they've really participated in this intense training to make sure that the skills to care program, when it's administered and given to people, it's actually proven to work. That's the evidence-based piece. So when people are reaching out to participate in this program and you send your folks in, this program has proven to be helpful, right?
Right. And we're so confident in that, not only because of the program that we're using has that evidence base, but also because of the feedback that we get personally from the family members that are just so grateful to have that support and to have somebody that is able to go in and, again, hold their hand through this process and give them suggestions and ideas and really help make things easier for them, so that they can continue to care for their loved one without feeling that overwhelming burden and stress that a lot of us feel as caregivers.
Exactly. I know it's being a caregiver is one of those things that can really be fulfilling and can feel um, like a blessing to be able to provide care for your loved one. But it's also a lot of work. And I think a lot of times caregivers don't necessarily give themselves enough credit for how much work is involved. And that it's a 24/7 thing.
Yeah, and I
There's
think
some, go
I'm
ahead.
sorry to interrupt you. I think that caregiving specifically for someone with a dementia or Alzheimer's is so painful and difficult because it's a long process, right? So the diagnosis of dementia, I mean, it's 5, 10, 15, 20 years down the road of continued kind of memory loss and painful events. And so for a caregiver to have that experience over a really long period of time, having the support systems in place when this all begins and when you take on the role of a caregiver, it's so important.
Absolutely. And I think that there was some research done that caregivers provide over $1 billion in free unpaid work. Just here in Rhode Island, not even nationwide, but here in Little Rhode Island, over $1 billion. That's crazy.
Right. And
So
that number is going to continue to increase as, there's a big push to keeping loved ones home and,
mhm.
aging in place, that especially with the lack of staffing, a lot of times with nursing agencies, that the family members are taking on that caregiver role a lot more than they used to. So.
Exactly. So with the Skills to Care program, what kind of activities can people expect to participate in?
That's a great question. So the initial visit will be an occupational therapist. They'll come into the home, they'll sit down with the caregiver and the person with dementia, and they'll just get to know you, talk to you about how things are going, talk about any behaviors that might be happening. Sometimes it's medication management, incontinence, hygiene. Sometimes it's activities of daily living. My mom used to be able to get herself dressed and now she continues to skip a step and miss her underwear every time. And what can we do to set her up for success so that she doesn't get so frustrated, and that I don't get so frustrated when, she is unable to do something that she used to be able to do before. And then, so they'll set up a kind of an action plan. They'll say, listen, these are the kind of issues that you've identified that you're struggling with your loved one. And here's how we're going to work on those. We're going to problem solve them together. We're going to talk through it. We're going to come up with, 5 different solutions for you to try at home and see how it goes. See if that's something that works. And then there's a whole nother component of Skills to Care that happens that is really focused on caregiver self-care. So what are 5 things that you can do for yourself this week? What are 5 ways that you can prioritize your mental health and your well-being? And, is there somebody that you can call to come for an hour to watch, mom or dad, so that you can step out and you can go to that yoga class, or you can take a walk, or you can do whatever you need to do to take some time for yourself so that you can come back feeling refreshed and feeling like you can provide, better care because you did something for yourself. So it's, the visits are typically once a week. So there is kind of a homework, but it's all natural. It would happen, after discussing something, you would try it out. So that's kind of the follow through that happens, and the sessions go as long as you need. So if something new comes up, my mom started waking up at 2:00 in the morning and she can't settle and I don't know what to do. I'm so stressed. I'm overtired. A new problem comes up and the occupational therapist says, okay, let's start with this and we'll keep going. So as long as there's things to work on, we'll be there to help.
So there's that initial visit. And I think a lot of times when people think of occupational therapy, they think of like, let me do exercises kind of things, but this is actually, I give my loved one a shirt to put on and tell them, go get dressed. And when I go to check on them, like they've got their shirt over their shoulders, but they didn't do the buttons.
Right.
And I just can't do the buttons every single time. They need to be able to just go get dressed when I tell them. And part of what it sounds like the Skills to Care is really kind of helping that caregiver to understand that there are steps involved in putting on your shirt. And sometimes dementia robs people of that pathway of, this is your shirt and you put it on and then you button it and then you tuck it in. And OT kind of helps caregivers understand what might work better for individuals.
Right. That's perfect. And I think you're right about the OTs getting kind of, I've had a lot of people say, oh, occupational therapists, oh, honey, I've been retired for 5 years. Don't worry. They do a lot more than, but OT has a huge scope of practice. They are experts in dementia. They're experts in the disease process, and they're really experts in looking outside of the box. So they are coming in with a new perspective. So, the shirt example that you just gave, maybe what needs to happen is all the button-up shirts need to go into the basement in a box, and maybe, mom needs to wear her lovely tunics that slip right over the head and avoid the frustration to begin with. And that's something that in the moment you might not think of, but when a new set of eyes comes in and says, get rid of the button-up shirts, the problem goes away. It's not a big deal. And just eliminating that that source of stress, it can just make the morning go smoother. So
yeah, no, that's really good. Now, do you offer like caregiver support groups or anything like that? Do you kind of foster those communities? Do you meet publicly or is it always in people's houses? How does that work?
That's a really good question. So we recently brought on a licensed social worker because we have experienced or noticed the need for more caregiver support. So we are doing one-on-one consultation with the social worker, as well as some caregiver support groups. And, we do work also closely with the Alzheimer's Association to refer to their support groups as well. But for those people that are participating in our program, we do have that social working component as well that we can bring in. If somebody just feels like they need a higher level of kind of counseling or support, we definitely would provide that through this program. So we're very lucky to have the funding, the grant funding, to be able to provide such important things that sometimes just aren't available at this point.
Now, grant funded, how long is this project expected to last?
That's a good question. It is a 3-year grant, and we were awarded in 2021. So we've got about a year and a half left of our grant funding. And then the kind of point of the program, of the funding, is to create a program that lasts beyond the the government funded money, to create a program that's sustainable, that we can continue. So we know that through the 200 phone calls I've taken for people seeking this services and this support, is that it's needed in the state. And I think our job now is to make sure that we can keep it going beyond when the money runs out. We have to find a way to keep it going, and I think that we have the passion and we have the means to do it, because it's so needed.
It absolutely is. So what is the eligibility criteria? Who can participate in the program, and who do they contact if they want to participate in the program?
That's a great question. The eligibility is really simple. Have to be a Rhode Island resident. That is just part of the funding from our funder. And then they have to be community living. So nobody in a nursing home or assisted living. It has to be living at home in the community. And they have to have some form of cognitive impairment, whether it's mild cognitive impairment all the way to Alzheimer's. Any sort of memory issues qualifies, and that's it. I'll do the rest of the screening over the phone, and then I think we're going to share my email and phone number. So if you call that number that's listed, you're going to get me right away. I am the person at the end of the other end of the phone. So it's a very personal experience. I'll take your information and I'll set you up with a clinician to come out and to work with you.
So people who call really will get you, and all they have to do is dial the 401-490-7610, and then is it ask for extension 116, or do they have to dial 116?
You just dial 116 right in, and my phone will ring. And if I'm not, at lunch, I'll answer. I usually answer at lunch too, honestly. So as long as I'm at my desk, you'll get me, or I'll call you right back. It's, CareLink is we're a small nonprofit, and what you see is what you get. So if you call, it's going to be me.
That's awesome. So the Skills to Care program, you live in the community, you or your loved one have a diagnosis of dementia.
Yep.
And
you live in Rhode Island.
Okay, simple
That's
enough.
It. Yep.
Simple enough. Now, do you have to have any particular kind of insurance program, a particular Medicare plan, or anything like that?
So because we are grant funded, any of co-pays or deductibles or co-insurance will be covered by the grant. So there'll be no out-of-pocket expense. If you don't have insurance, it's fine. We will still service you. We do bill insurance, again, for that sustainability effort, so that at the end of this, we can say, hey, insurance is paying for this, and they are. But you will have no out-of-pocket cost to participate. So you'll never see a bill from us, and any money that CareLink collects through the insurance that we bill goes back into providing more grant services for folks. So there's no catch. I think a lot of people are like, so, okay, this is all free, then what? Nothing. We really are just in the business of helping people and really supporting the folks with dementia and their caregivers.
That is absolutely amazing. I love your program because evidence-based, it's saying that it really does work. So when your team comes out to help people, they really will be helped, and not just, hey, that's great, you have these needs, and do some yoga and deep breathing and it's all going to be fine, and hey, bye.
Yeah, good luck with that.
Yeah, no, it's actual concrete ways to make a person's life easier when they are caring for someone with dementia. And do you also work with the people with dementia?
We do. And I think that I'll have another time to come on here and talk about our other program that's part of our grant funding. But we do have another program called Cognitive Stimulation Therapy that we're providing through this grant. So I'm sure at another time I can talk more about that. But if you want to learn more about our whole program, you can check out our website, CareLinkRI.org, or shoot me an email or a phone call.
Simple enough. And there's no cost to this at all for people.
Right. Absolutely. No out-of-pocket cost.
This is wonderful. Thank you so much for coming on today, Kelley, because this is a great program that really does evidence-based work.
Yes, absolutely. And I'm happy to share and spread the word because, there's nothing like this in the state, and we're happy to do it. So
thank you. Everybody, let me tell you, being a caregiver is work. Make no mistake. It is a lot of work, and give yourself credit as a caregiver. Give yourself grace that, sometimes it's a lot. And this program through CareLink and the Skills to Care really does help people, and it's free. It's not going to cost you anything out of your pocket. And as we know, individuals with dementia are at a higher risk of becoming victims of elder abuse because caregivers sometimes get frustrated and they kind of snap. And this is a program that's designed to help caregivers so that you don't reach that breaking point. And so it's really important that you help us get the word out about this program, because the number of people caring for individuals with dementia is increasing, and it's going to continue to increase. And by working all of us together and supporting one another and getting information out to others, we really can all make the world a better place. It is something that we can do together. So I look forward to seeing you all again next week. In the meantime, be well and be kind.
If you liked this video, please follow us on social media and subscribe on YouTube. For more information, visit rielderinfo.com or call 401-585-0509. If you have any questions, email deb@rielderinfo.com.